Good evening. Welcome to the Diablo 3 podcast. We are online at diabloinkgamers.com. I'm your host, Flux, and I'm joined on the show by two regular guests who have been here for a while. We have Xanth
Oh, hoy, hoy.
and Monstrous,
Hey, how's it going?
who was last on here like 2 years ago, I think.
I think it was a year. I think it was a year.
And can we just call you the legendary beam guy?
Yes, you can call me the legendary
That's your
beam
only
guy.
thing you've ever said that's been important or useful, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's your only suggestion that ever made it to the game, and no one, you don't. Are you unhappy now they've kind of changed it to asterisks instead of stars? Does that defy your artistic vision?
No, not at all. I'm a fan of the new icons. I love them.
They checked with you before they did that,
They
right?
did, yeah.
They made sure it
yeah.
was okay with you?
Yeah, I went through and I gave them okay.
You okayed the artwork and stuff?
Yeah.
Does Jay Wilson still call you at 2 in the morning asking for gameplay suggestions and fixes?
It's slowed down a bit, but now it's just the creepy messages that he sends me mostly, un-game related. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to block him last year. He was getting out of hand.
Yeah, exactly.
And Xantha likes him a lot, though.
I mean, he's still Jay Wilson, right? You know? Gotta keep your contacts up.
Yeah, exactly. Except he wears glasses now.
Oh.
So I was just talking to another potential podcast guest, he'll probably be on next week, and he was going on about how the Barbarian is weak and pathetic now, and he makes him unhappy. And we were looking at, like, if you look at, say, for instance, hardcore seasons, the Greater Rift ladder, there are 13 Barbarians ever who have beaten 30 or higher in Greater Rifts. Guess how many Demon Hunters there are?
1,000?
No, I thought maybe, no. The lowest Demon Hunters are in 27. 540 something Demon Hunters have beaten Greater Rift 30 or higher, and 13 Barbarians.
Huh.
So that's kind of gives you a sense of the scale of, and the highest barb I think is 33, and of course Demon Hunters are all many in the high 30s. This is hardcore seasons, by the way. So, but yeah, but none of us are playing Barbarians because why would you, right?
I'm legit playing a Barbarian as we do this podcast, but it's not hardcore. It's not hardcore.
Yeah.
It's a little different. Yeah.
Could you imagine playing a hardcore Barbarian?
No, because as soon
Not
as I
for long.
charge in electricity, it just melts me. I drop it instantly. So, yes.
So we're going to talk about legendary gems, some more follow-up stuff. I've done a lot of testing on them. So basically, as I was saying a minute ago, I'm now qualified to do the last week's podcast. Unfortunately, I already did last week's podcast, so I have more information now than I did. And no longer do I have Katniss here to answer all my questions. By the way, he's almost Paragon 500 now, so it'll lead to him. And we're going to get into some stuff on Greater Rifts and a lot of specific stuff about legendary gems and leveling up and seasons. And we have a hardcore forum Darwin Awards thing that's going on, and I have a really stupid death to add to that list. And Xanth had burning topics he wanted to get into. He wouldn't tell us what they were, but he said they were big and secret, so we'll get to that very shortly.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And just concluding the Barbarian thing, the guy I was just talking to, we were joking that, you know, all Barbarian suffering today is just karma for 18 months of being wildly overpowered during Diablo 3 vanilla, right? Because, I mean, it was just spin to win for like a year.
They had to suck at some point. I mean, we can just accept that fact, right?
Well, I don't know if Monstrous can. He's playing a Barbarian now. Do you accept that you suck, Monstrous?
Uh,
that your class sucks?
The only reason I'm playing him right now, and he's not near as good as my Crusader. But yeah, I'm only playing him because I can still find the upgrades that I need on my Crusader. So, yeah. But
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a solo Crusader right now a Barbarian that's the highest Greater Rift tier right now. What is he at, like 43 or 44 right now? So I don't know. Maybe people are just playing it wrong.
Maybe there's some secret combination of gear.
Yeah.
But mostly what people say is what you were just saying, where it's just you don't have the toughness. You go into, you get electrified boss on Greater Rift 38 and you're just toast.
Yeah, the Lightning Immune Amulet is huge right now. You need that or the Fire Immune Amulet actually to, I guess, to play the Furious Charge, the Rakor's build. But
If only you had two heads, you could wear them both.
yes.
That'll be the expansion, by the way. The Ogre character comes in and he has two heads, so they can yell at each other like in Warcraft 2, and they can also wear two amulets. You guys are the examples like that could actually be true. Wouldn't that be awesome if they announced that? That would be really cool. It's an ogre character. He came over from Warcraft 2. He can wear two amulets at once and be like, unbalanced. He gets 4 legendary gems. But we have 5 fingers. Can only wear 1 ring, right? So maybe it wouldn't make a difference.
No.
Just one really big amulet. Okay, so seasons. Let's just jump into seasons a little bit before we get to Greater Rifts and stuff. We've all been playing a lot of seasons.
Right.
There's been discussion lately how long it should go, why people want to know when it's going to end, if it's going to go for 3 months, like in places that have real weather. Both you guys live in places with real weather, right? So you actually know how long seasons are.
I think it's like half winter here, so I guess we have seasons
So you have summer, half winter, winter, and spring.
somewhere in there. Yeah.
Is that kind of how it works for you, Monstrous?
Yeah, it's almost identical. Yeah.
It's
Uh,
all different shades.
it, we're going through a hot streak right now, though. A little hot.
So the snow melted, you're
The
saying?
snow melted. Yeah, yeah.
I did see pictures on the internet last week. Apparently there was like a snowstorm in Canada. I mean, it's like a joke on the internet that there's always a snowstorm in Canada, but there actually was, right?
Yeah, there was out in
In
Alberta.
August
Yeah,
or
Alberta
early
area.
September.
Yeah, there was we didn't get any snow here, but it was still pretty cold here. But I mean, next week it's going to be in the 30s. That's Celsius, by the way. Uh, so
It's
yeah,
like
That's like 147 degrees, I think. I'm not good with math, but it's something like that.
sounds about right. Sun like
Yeah,
temperatures.
exactly. So seasons. You said you're actually over Paragon 500 in seasons, Monsters. Have you played more in seasons than you did before seasons started, or what?
no, I'm just about my regular Paragon level is 580, so I'm just about caught up. But I'm
So why have you played more in 3 weeks than in 8 months?
I don't know. Everything's just fresh again, and I don't know. We're playing with a lot of new people in our clan, and some friends came back, and it's great right now. I think it was also a little bit easier to gear up now, so like compared to the when we first started ROS. So you jump into T6 a lot faster now. So there was none of that build up and trying to get geared up for it. Like it probably took a good 1 or 2 months to get into T6, but it took me a week this time maybe to get into T6. So I think that helped a lot for experience gains.
It's not quite as quick and hardcore, but have you noticed a much faster progression as well,
Oh,
Xanth?
absolutely. I'm playing a Crusader. It's the only character I have for the season just because he's still alive. And granted, now that we're doing this podcast, he'll die tonight. But um, I'm at like Paragon 128 because I can see it on my screen right now. Um, and he is better geared than my non-season hardcore Crusader in less time. I've got the full Akan set, almost all of Roland's, plus Later Prophecy, and then the Shield too, and it it all seemed to fall together rather quickly. And I think that's actually made seasons more enticing because it does seem like the carrot at the end of the stick is just a little bit closer than what it had been pre-seasons, and I think that makes for more riveting gameplay. You toss in the greater rifts, and you toss in just regular torment, rift farming, and it the bevy of options that are there just make it much more appealing, and you want to pour yourself into it. It's part of the reason that as we're doing this, I'm running through a couple just solo greater rifts for the hell of it because I want to see if I can just one do better than my last time, and also find some gear along the way because it is much more approachable.
I hope you die, by the way.
Thank you.
That'll be for good radio.
Yeah, just right in the middle, but that'd be okay. It's fine.
Speaking of death, I had a demon hunter and a monk die this week in
Really?
hardcore, and I was looking at when you archive the characters, I was just looking at my other characters from back in the day, and the new ones were like I don't know 22 and 17 hours apiece, something like that. I'm looking at the other ones like in the old days, like I had a P80 monk that died in the old days, like 147 hours or something like that,
Right.
and these demon hunters that were like 120, 130, had multiple over 100-hour characters, and they were never up to like I was obviously that was before Torment, but much as you were just saying, much better geared now in 10 or 12 or 14 hours than we used to get in 100
Well,
hours.
I mean,
And that was with a damn auction house to buy stuff in.
well, even with the leveling process, it's so much more streamlined with the addition of adventure mode, which I was really happy when the season started that you didn't have to unlock it. But with having adventure mode open, getting to 70 without anybody rushing you and just jumping into public games if you wanted was one, a pleasant experience, and two, it was relatively quick. I mean, I didn't make 70 in the first night of the season. I was bogged down.
Lazy.
Yeah, I'm lazy. There it is. But I think it took me. It was over the course of 3 days, and that was not nonstop playing, just kind of jumping in when I could. It was manageable, and once I hit 70, I didn't feel like I was really far behind. I was able to kind of get a hodgepodge of gear and get into Torment rather quickly, and then started putting everything together. And that jump from 70 to getting into Torment and getting back into the way the regular game had played out preseason was very manageable. And I thought that was going to be the wall. I thought like that's where people are going to start dropping off and dying. Was trying to go a little too fast, but the game had kind of been set up that the drops came at the right time, or at least for me, to make the experience much more enjoyable.
How was your first weekend of seasons, by the way, Monsters? You weren't on that podcast we did back then, where we had multiple guys who stayed up all night playing, and you've obviously gained a few Paragon levels so far. Did you zoom?
I did zoom. I did get into the I did get the conquest achievement for, I think I was like 400 or something, the 400th person to get level 70. And yeah, exactly. I've had the same experience. I've been able to gear my character almost better, I guess, than my normal character. I don't know why. I guess the drop rates and Kadala, like, that has been huge. Like, I geared my Barbarian. I leveled my Barbarian yesterday to 70, and I spent all my shards from on Kadala, and I end up now I've got the Furious Charge build, and I've got a pretty good build going right now. So I'm just working on upgrades now. So it's super easy to gear up right now. There's still that odd piece. Like I've got a furnace, but I've only seen 2 of those in seasons going up to Paragon level 520. So there's some key items that are hard to get still, but other than that, I mean, if you're running T6, you can get a full set in a day or two if you were really trying. So yeah, my experience so far has been really good. It's really awesome to actually look for gear to make progression in greater rifts. So before we didn't have anything to do with our gear. You were just kind of finding gear to farm faster, to get more gear. But now you're actually trying to put that gear to a use, and it really changes the experience for me.
Having a higher difficulty to push to is really you're targeting. I see you targeting a specific grid or width. You want to be like you want to get to 35 or something. I mean, what is your goal?
Well, on my Crusader right now, I'm pushing 38. I'm trying to. I've missed it a couple times. I can manage to get the Rift Guardian out, but I can't kill the Rift Guardian in time. So I think it'll come down to RNG in the Rift or a little bit of better gear. So that's what I'm working towards right now. I'm trying to get my immune amulets actually to immunity, so I can maybe get a good Rift boss and ignore all of his abilities. So that's what I'm trying to do right now.
What is the highest, by the way? The highest seasonal barbarian.
For Barbarian, I'm not too sure. I was talking mainly Crusader.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Crusader.
Crusader is, I believe, Alcazar with 41, I believe.
And you're 38, so not far off.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm getting there.
Seasonal barbarian Great Rift is 45 right here, the highest I see. Is Beulah.
That
Buleh.
that's new. Yeah, he must have just got that because
Yeah,
that's
Al
pretty high.
Kaiser's third now.
Hmm.
Yeah, Al Kaiser's 41. There's a 43 and a 45. So some people really jumped up there somehow.
Yeah, well, actually, the number one barb, he was actually giving some tips to people about how he was getting there. So maybe they read kind of his kind of stuff and I don't know,
And
built on
outdid him,
that.
apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Don't release anything until the end of the season. That's just a hint. But
Well, it's tough if you're a streamer, right? But they're gonna spike.
yeah.
So how do you feel about Greater Rifts, Xanth? Are you playing them? Are you trying to push to a higher level? It's a little different in hardcore, where there's a little more of a penalty for not making it.
Right. I approach them with a little more caution. I think my highest is like 21, so it's not, it's not great.
Get off the
Right.
podcast. What is that, like T2?
I don't know.
No, it's like T4. Okay, that's like T5 actually.
But I'm alive, so I guess I view that as a success. I definitely, with hardcore and with the playing a Crusader and getting a lot of incoming damage, I have those rifts where I'm cruising through and I'm doing great. I'm way ahead of time, and then you just hit that one pack, whether it's lightning or molten or whatever else is going on, and then your health is just bottoming out, and it's kind of like feast or famine. So it does make you a little bit more wary, but at the same time, you do get to that moment, non-greater rift, where you're just able to kill kind of everything, and there is no challenge. So the scaling difficulty is very appealing because, it becomes very easy to not die after a certain point, and the greater rifts are really kind of there to make sure that that element is taken out of it, and you keep pushing yourself to that death point. Um, like I said, I've been approaching them with caution, but at the same time, I'm not avoiding them entirely because I do like that challenge. I like to see, well, how high can I honestly go before I'm definitely going to lose this character? I'm not going to lie. I've had my cheat death passive proc a couple times, and that's usually the warning sign. And if I'm able to get out of there alive, um, I'm happy about that.
The highest seasonal hardcore crusader right now is 38. Last week's show guest Katniss, who's online name is Leviathan, is in 8th place. He's the fastest 35 anyone's managed. Although he may up that tonight. Since he's on the podcast, he has more time to play. But people get there. I've noticed a lot more deaths. I mean, just in the clan. I mean, lots more hardcore deaths than we used to see, and I think almost all of them are because of greater rifts.
Well, another
Either people are really pushing it, or else they're really pushing T6 to get gear or something.
Right. Well, another thing too that makes hardcore death much more noticeable is the clan announcement that happens when they
Yeah.
die, which I personally love. Um, Mainly since it hasn't been my own name, but it is
Yeah.
nice to know who died and then what happened to him, so you can kind of relay certain information and like, okay, so I'm not going to try what you did, or at least give your condolences. And now we're at the point where everybody's leveled up enough that you can rush somebody up to 70 pretty quickly if you felt like it, if you wanted to be so kind.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's been a lot of the rushing, CC, Curse Chapel, T6, level 44, who can come do it for us, that
Right.
kind of thing. I see a lot of those in clan chat.
maybe you guys can give me a little bit more insight. But what, why are people pushing the leaderboards right now for hardcore? Wouldn't it be like better to just save up all your gear and then really make that push at the end of the season instead of trying to kind of do it midway? You might not be like completely geared up to as far as you want to be, but I just kind of find that like because you lose all that progress as far as gear when you're trying to make that push. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you
I
just
mean,
save it till the end?
from my perspective, now that we're at the point where you can get back up to 70 really quickly, if you wait till the end of the season when everybody else might be trying that, you might be out of luck. The other perspective too is I'm getting to the point now where I'm hoarding a whole bunch of stuff that if I did lose this Crusader, I have a full set of Roland, or just about a full set of Roland, another set of Akan that is sitting there too, and I'd be pretty good if I wanted to roll back up another Crusader. I mean, the gear's not 100% perfect, but it's relatively close. So that I think we're getting to the point where fail safes are in place that you can risk losing a character and not feel the burden of it. Where, maybe towards the end of the season, with everybody trying to do that, you lose out on people rushing you, and you lose out on just the time you might need to make that final push.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess like rifts do come down to RNG. So the more time you or sorry, it gives you. It's not just straight RNG, but it does give you a little bit of benefit if you do get that one rift or that one conduit shrine or anything like that. So I guess the more attempts you put into it, the higher you should be able to climb because you'll just get that. You'll eventually get that luck or better luck than a rift that you've had before. So I guess that does make sense when it comes down to it.
And as we were talking about this, somebody in my clan just died. Level 65. Guess the total amount of playtime to get to 65?
2.5 hours.
No.
44 minutes. 44 minutes.
Yeah.
So, so we're looking at what, maybe from 65 to 70, adding on an extra 10 or 15.
Yeah, one more game, basically.
Right. So, that's the time it's taking people to get back now because everybody's boosted up there and you can do the leveling hacks to kind of get to it. Um, so, I think that kind of proves the point in terms of how much easier it is to get back to it. And if you've got your reserves, um, you can be back in the show right away.
So people often ask that. One of you guys who is familiar with it, run down basically what people do to get to level 65 in 44 minutes.
So basically, there are a couple of bounties that you can create at T6 level. So after you've hit 70 before, you create a level 1 character, open a game at T6. Curse Cellar is usually where you want to go, like 1 to 50, and that is in Act 1. You just have to go in, you need somebody who's of a higher level to join your game. Usually you bring in 2 additional people for the additional experience. You have the higher level, usually, like I said, level 70, go to the Curse Cellar, go into the open area, you banner to them, and then you just kind of wait. The Curse Cellar opens up the chest, and it's the kill 100 monsters. So as they're killing all 100, you're getting the experience for that at T6. Plus, then you get the quest reward bonus when the chest is finally cleared, which, from my recollection of doing it in preseason, you're going from like 1 to 15 in just that first quest. After that, there's the clear the Hell Rift in Act 4. Same kind of principle. You get a higher level runner. You get 2 other people to come with. You teleport or you just take the portal, and then you open up a teleport and come back to town. The person who clears finishes the quest, and you get the experience because you were technically loaded into the waypoint. So basically, you level up by just standing there. As opposed to the older, we go back like 1.04 days where you had to follow the person around to get the experience. Now you just have to stand there.
Stand in town.
Right, and it's a lot safer, so you don't die. Occasionally, somebody
usually you don't die.
Right, yeah, you shouldn't, but somebody might jump into the Hell Rift one and run a little too far. I've seen that happen before. But that's the basic way, and when the season started, you obviously had everybody starting at level 1, so there was nobody with good enough gear to do those kind of things. But now that we're into the state that we're in, people are a little more willing to help people who've fallen on the way down.
Yeah, and we did a podcast on the first weekend of seasons that described all of the ways people were actually leveling up legit. I mean, obviously, Softcore, it wasn't real legit. You just did a few quests you could complete easily, and Blizzard's nerfed all those since.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that how you leveled up initially, Monsters? Did you do the Miner's Gold and stuff? And what are you going to do next time now those are gone?
I actually can't wait for next time because it'll actually be a normal place. I mean, something is going to pop up. There's going to be something that's the best experience to gain, I guess, the easiest way to level. There's always going to be that one thing that people are going to call out for nerfs, and we'll see if they fix it or not. But I mean, right now it's like during this podcast, we just leveled a guy 1 to 70. He just followed us around while we were doing probably average 5-minute T6 rifts, and he probably leveled in half an hour 1 to 70. So it's very, very simple now to level if you want to. Like I've got just about got one of each character in seasons leveled up now 1 to 70, and they're taking about an hour right now. If you can get into T6 or into a T6 group and just follow them around, it's very, very simple.
And do you feel guilty and wrong about this?
Do I? No, because I would rather I've done my time leveling up. Like I've experienced it all, and I would rather get to that end game point where you're actually trying to find gear and go through greater rifts and stuff. So I don't mind skipping that content. I've already seen it.
Should there be an instant level 70 button?
Um,
If people are just doing these exploits to get there in an hour anyway, should you still have to crit a character at level 70? I mean, what's the difference, right?
Yeah, I mean, there is no difference, but I mean, I guess there's got to be that crowd that likes the leveling experience too. So I've always hated leveling. It doesn't matter in MMOs or whatever. I've hated that experience of it. It's always the end game for me, but it could be different for other people.
I would agree with you on the leveling aspect. Like, I think for the way this game is set up, the leveling in Diablo 3 doesn't feel as worth it. In D2, at least, like each level, there was progress and they built upon each other. There was still rushing by all means, but it's just to get to 70 to then start leveling again towards Paragon, and it just doesn't feel right. Like, nothing you get at level 60 helps you in any way after 70.
Souls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Souls help.
Yeah, that would be about.
I've always been joking. The best magic find in the game ever is level 68 and 69. You find like 9 legendaries per level, just because they know you can't use any of them later. They just dump them on you. It's like a wheelbarrow of legendaries just falling from the sky.
Actually, I don't think I got any around that time when I was leveling up this Crusader.
I just took a Demon Hunter from 67 to 70 this afternoon, and I think I found 7 legendaries. So
Hmm.
in like 8 rifts. I mean, it was like I'm playing. I was only playing on hard too. I mean, it's hardcore, so I'm not you're just kind of running through it really quickly. But it was like I'm not. I'll get to 70. I won't find a damn thing for 3 weeks. They can just tell. They can smell fear. So the other you said you had something about you don't like how the Greater Rift trial keys work, monsters.
Yeah. At least.
So just describe the basic process for people who maybe haven't done it a ton, and then tell us what you hate
All
about
right.
it.
So right now, when you do a greater rift, or sorry, when you do a regular rift, there's a chance for a rift key to drop a trial key, and you use that trial key to go into the it's like a realm of trials or a trial, and you push and wave after wave comes after you at you, and the better you do, the higher rift key you're granted or greater rift key you're granted. Um, so right now there's a couple classes that can do those really well, and so they're able to get higher. They're able to skip a lot of the lower tiers and jump straight to the higher ones. Um, for classes like, for example, my Crusader, even though I can do Greater Rift up to 38, um, most of the times the trials I have to start at 30, because that's just where, I mean, at least that's where the last time I did a trial like that, just solo, that's where I ended up. And then you have to fight your way back up to where you were last, you left off. So I'm trying to push 30, 38, and I have to go from 30 to 38, and usually I can only go up one, so I have to do 8 rifts, or sorry, 7 rifts before I can try a 38 again.
So
So
that's like 2 hours of play to get to there.
exactly. So right now, what people are doing is they just jump into the trials with a couple demon hunters or other strong classes, and they just skip all those, and we're getting rank 40s, or sorry, tier 40, tier 39, tier 38, and so we can skip directly to that. And like I was saying before, the RNG involved in your density of your rifts, or if you're getting a conduit, some people are just collecting a whole bunch of keys, and if they don't like the rift they're in, or if it's not a very good one, they just end it because the key doesn't matter anymore because they can just instantly get right back to where they were. Other people are doing it like the legit way where they have to build up, but they might fail at 35 or 36 depending on their rift, and then they have to start that process over again. So they're not getting as many tries as they can at 38. So I don't know what the solution is there. I think that maybe depending on what greater rift you've got to, you should be able to skip directly to that. I think that might be the best solution, but I don't know yet. I hope.
I don't think that's a big a problem in hardcore because you'll die.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I can definitely see why that would be an issue for softcore characters because you just want to do the highest rift you
Right,
can.
and it's annoying trying to get. I mean, yeah, you can level some other gems and stuff along the way, but or no, you can't even because you once you fail or complete it, that's when you get to. So yeah, so there's not really any point to it, and it's just kind of frustrating for people that are trying to push higher critters. Especially, I always have to team up with a couple demon hunters or whatever to get my 38 tier greater gem, and it just or sorry, the key, and it's just not an enjoyable process that way.
You haven't noticed that much playing hardcore. So, have you had that issue with that, Xanth, or not?
No,
That's a
not
little above your level at this point.
I'm just I normally just bypass the trial right away and just start at level 1 and work my way up.
Yeah,
I'm content with that, I guess.
I guess for I mean it's greater rifts. Once you get over 30, they're awesome for loot. You're getting almost you're getting a set item like every second rift. You're getting 2 to 4 legendaries that drop every greater rift above 30. So it's like a really good way to actually gear if you can make it there.
Katniss had a tinfoil hat thing last week talking about it, and he's doing up in the 30s on his Crusader now, so it shouldn't matter to him that much. But I think I've noticed it as well. It seems like anytime if you're first gearing up a new character in Rifts and you're getting a personal high every time, it seems like you almost always get a legendary or two. And then if you do, say your personal best is 25 and you do a 20, you almost never get a legendary then. Maybe it's just, it just seems that way. And you're saying anytime over 30 is pretty much a bonanza. But
Yeah,
I'm surprised that you level up that way, Xanth, because in my experience, like my last Demon Hunter, my last monk was doing in the low 20s, and if I would go down to 15, I would never get a legendary. It seemed like. I mean, I did a bunch of them one day just on like 15, just to get some gems, get gems from 0 to 6 really quickly,
Right.
and I would just do one rift and just cash out. And I was just doing 12s and 15s to get up to like level 6 on a bunch of different gems, and I was getting like one legendary in like 10 rifts. It seemed like.
Huh.
Whereas if I push up to 20, I get. I just recently I did my first Demon Hunter in the season, and I went slow because I wanted to get all the. I didn't have all legendary gems anymore. My monk had died with a few of them. So I did like 8, 9, 10 in a row and got like 2 legendaries and a gem in every one of those.
Hmm. Yeah.
Maybe it's just tinfoil hat, but I don't know.
See, like I said, I've been going, slow and doing, I'll skip the trial and start at level 1. And a lot of those level 1 rifts that I've just plowed through have rewarded me with like 2 legendaries apiece.
And it's like 4 minutes to get there. So
Right. Those have
so
actually.
take that, monstrous, in your level 30
Well,
rifts.
actually, as we were talking, I did a level 1, and I ended up getting my first shard of hate I've ever seen. Um, so I was actually kind of happy about that. I mean, I'm not going to use it, but
Hacksaw.
yeah, nice to have, I guess.
So either level 1 or level 30, one or the other.
Right.
They're the same quality though, apparently.
anything in between is garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, anything you just gotta skip right from 1 to 30. So finish it in 17 seconds, and you'll actually go up to level 29 right away.
Yeah.
You have to really be fast. So you need some faster run for that, I think. So you guys, I also see a lot of questions. People often ask, how do you move up in difficulty? How do you gear up? How do you know when to go from normal hard up to T1, and then how do you go up from T1 to T6? And monstrous, you're like, yeah, I got a T6 in 7 hours. So obviously it's a little easier. What are you doing were you getting that by yourself? Were you playing with friends in T6 rifts and just following around and just picking up trick or treat?
Um, no, I mean at the very start, we were farming T1 pretty heavily. Like we tried to get a T1 as quickly as we could, just because that's where there's a lot more items that can drop there, and your set items can drop. So that's what we tried to do. We farmed that for a long time. It really helps when you have friends that are demon hunters and they finally get their set. That really, really helps gear up whatever other class you're trying to play. Um,
So play with stronger friends is your first point of advice.
Stronger classes, yeah. Play with strong. Like it's almost like the situation where in D2, where as soon as a season or sorry, a new ladder started, the first character they always rolled was a sorceress, right? Because that would be your MF character, and you would go and you would play that, and you would use the sorceress to collect gear for any other class that you actually wanted to play. It might not have been a sorceress that you wanted to play, but so now,
Nobody wanted to play sorceresses. Yes.
yeah. So
And that was obviously before smart loot.
yeah,
So.
so I don't know if now the whole thing is going to be like a demon hunter trying to get maybe you roll a demon hunter at the start of every season now and try to get him your sentry set so you can farm blood shards really quick to gear up your other characters. That might be common practice. I don't know, but um, yeah, just playing with a group and trying to get to T1 as fast as you can, and then work your way up from there. That's the way we geared up, and that's the way we play. But now it's really simple with so many people that are geared up. So
What I've heard from softcore players is that you can essentially just spend your blood shards when you get to 70, and you can basically do T1 just from that. Like good rares are enough for T1 in softcore. Would you agree with that?
yeah, it doesn't take a lot. Like T1's probably the base experience now for a lot of people because I mean, you might die the odd time, but it's very simple, especially with the like enchanting. If there's a rare item that you can just flip really easy at one stat on it and make it into like a pretty good item for T1, it makes it so easy.
And how has your getting to T1 experience been, Xanth? It's a little different when you can die.
Yeah, I mean, I
It's still not T1 isn't that hard though. I mean,
no,
it's not like hardcore players are normal for 6 months, you know?
right. I don't think I was waiting too long to get into T1. I hit 70 and had some decent gear, nothing game changing, but I was still doing like I don't know, like 400,000 damage, so I felt okay. And then having a cheat death passive made me feel a little bit better. A big thing is, since I wasn't in the wave of people who hit 70, first day, I was a little behind. So like games at like hard or anything like that were just non-existent, and everybody was in Torment already. So I just kind of hopped in to some public Torment games to see how I would do, mainly in rares. I was definitely the one who was dragging the group down for a little bit, but I was alive, and that was kind of my barometer: is am I able to do damage that isn't horribly awful, and am I not running for my life every big pack that comes up. And since I was able to do both those things, I felt okay in Torment, and it wasn't too long until I had actually acquired the gear to make me more confident within it.
So both you guys' advice seems to be play with stronger players.
Well,
Real single player centric guide here.
there is a huge difference in if you're starting on either a Crusader or you're starting on Wizard. Wizards were super super strong at the start of like to move up in difficulty at the very start. Wizards and Demon Hunters were huge. If you're playing a Crusader or even a Barbarian or well any melee, I guess it was a little bit tougher to put out enough damage to move up. So you had to play with other players to make progress or as
Was
quickly as
that
anybody.
because was that just damage, or they needed toughness also, so it made it harder to get both?
Yeah, a little bit of both because instead you're trying to balance out both your offensive and your defensive stats, whereas wizards, at least in normal, not hardcore, you can just go full out glass cannon and push the higher difficulties and kill in a reasonable amount of time. So, but with grouping, I mean, you can get carried a little tiny bit by the other people or the other stronger classes. But yeah, for solo, it's a little bit of a different story. You're gonna have to choose, I guess, the easier class, or unless you want to spend a lot more time trying to gear up through the lower difficulties.
So speaking of solo, I had some interesting twinking experiences this week, but since no one else does that, I don't know what the point is. But just to briefly mention it, legendary gems are so awesome when you're leveling up. Level 30, 40, 50, 60 kind of range. Just adding these legendary properties. The conduit shrine, the conduit gem, the Tesla gem, whatever it's called, Wrath of the Wave of the something, Lightning. I don't remember.
Wreath of Lightning, yeah.
Wreath of Lightning, yeah. That one is so awesome when you're leveling. Especially if you have like a little bit of a twink and you have a decent like ruby in your weapon. Because when you get the conduit shrine at high level, sorry, shrine, when you get the conduit gem, the Wreath of Lightning, at high levels, it like wounds stuff. It's not a one-shot everything. It's not like a conduit shrine, at least not in my experience. It's pretty good, but it's not like instant death to the entire screen. It is when you're leveling up. So basically, that procs like every I don't know 6, 8, 10 seconds or so, and it lasts for 3 seconds. So basically, every single time you get that from like level 20 to 50, everything on the screen dies as fast as you can run for 3 seconds, which is kind of fun.
I have never even thought about doing that or trying that, I guess.
Yeah,
So
none of the yeah. There are no level requirements at all in legendary gems. The other one that's awesome, of course, Boon of the Hoarder is fantastic, just because
Oh,
you can go so fast.
yeah, it's
You
yeah,
can string stuff. Some of them are kind of useless. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of really, not a whole lot of need for Boon of the Hoarder. Sorry, I meant Bane of the Powerful is the awesome one, because you can string your elites together so fast when
right.
you're leveling up that fast. Boon of the Hoarder doesn't do a whole lot for you. Some of them are kind of cool. Obviously Mireille and Efficacious Toxin and stuff are nice, just adding damage overall. But it's really interesting just sticking those on a level 40 or 50 character, and you just get you just find rare gems. I mean, sorry, rare jewelries. And you know what the stats are on level 30 jewelry. It's like plus 1.5% critical hit chance and stuff, right? So just roll anything you get to a socket. Whatever. Really, I was finding lots of rings, and you would look at them and try to figure out which ones had better chances to get it. Because there's different modifiers that can replace different modifiers. Amulets especially, because like if you have an elemental damage on an amulet, that's like 6 possible different rolls, right?
Yeah.
So you don't roll that one. You roll something else, because then you're not going to have all those elemental damage possibilities that are giving you 25 affixes instead of 15 affixes and stuff. But it was fun. So I mean, if anyone's leveling up, just even level 0. I mean, rank 0 legendary gems are just spectacular on Twinks. And some funny stuff we had with Boon of the Hoarder, not on level 10 characters. We were playing with Boon of the Hoarder the other night. I was doing it with my Demon Hunter, and who had 0% 0% pickup radius. And I was like, God, this is tiring. I'm like, having to run around like a Pac-Man, you know? You're just kind of going around and around and getting all these huge stacks. And I'm like, imagine a Boon of the Hoarder gem in Diablo 2 with no auto gold pickup. Would you just kill yourself?
Oh man, that would.
I mean, that would be unusable, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
If you had to actually click every gold in Diablo 3, what would you do, Monstrous? Would you just quit right now?
well, gold's actually useful now, whereas in D2 it was pointless. But
Yeah, actually, D2 kind of was like that because you just left you ignored it as it
yeah,
was.
we didn't pick it up either way. So, um, yeah, I would definitely leave it on the ground. It would be shinies. There would be lots of shinies on the ground, but yeah.
So we had that conversation the one night in the clan chat. And the next night, someone comes in and goes, who's doing a new Demon Hunter, and goes, God, Boon of the Hoarder is so annoying without ferrets. And I'm like, man, you are one step up from first world problems here. You know, first world Demon Hunter problems, right? Because if people don't play Demon Hunter, which of course is nobody at this point, because how else are you going to level up the legendary gems, right? But the four set property with Marauders gives you all the familiars at once, and one of those are the ferrets, and they run around and pick up the gold for you. So that's obviously when you're getting really lazy as a Demon Hunter. Just the ferrets get all the gold for you. You just stand there and wait for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Boon of the Hoarder is fantastic. Do you guys want to exalt about how awesome it is? We did that that was like half the podcast
I
last time,
actually,
but I took my turn.
I got it for the first time 2 days ago. One of my clanmates was goblin farming, and I had not seen it since the PTR. And my character's finally in a state where it would be nice to have more gold, so I could upgrade a little bit more because I was. It's weird being poor. I think Flux, we had talked a little bit about that. How it's weird to kind of go back to poverty. Um,
Yeah,
and,
that's the problem with seasons. You don't have your billion gold from before.
right, exactly. So we farmed for God, I want to say like an hour and a half, which really is not that long by comparison to what some people have farmed for it. And we finally got it. I went from 6 million gold to I don't know 30 million from just the Goblin portal itself, and then I got the gem, and I'm thinking, oh, it can't be that much. It's not gonna be that good. And then I rolled the socket on one of my rings and tossed it in to see what would happen, and when you're picking up like 100,000 every pack or so, it's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm not a billionaire yet, but it's definitely adding up, and I can't imagine not having it now.
Do you think?
What are your gold stacks like in GR? Well, not in Greater Rifts, obviously, but in T6 monsters
I actually don't.
with a Boon of the Hoarder. I
I
mean,
don't run it. I used to run it, but I mean, I hover around 200 million just playing the regular game right now. Like I might get down to 150, but then I run so many T6 rifts and everything without Boon and the Hoarder that it doesn't really matter. I'm not stalling on gear progression or anything from not having gold. So
well, if
I
you've
don't
got
run
your
it.
gems all upgraded, I guess you don't really need any more gold, right?
Right.
You're not dying and losing all your gems regularly like in hardcore. So
Yeah. Uh, I kind of I'm not a huge fan of the amount of gold that you get because it does make it really feel like D2 was. It makes it gold pointless right now. There's no point of having gold, and maybe at the very very start or until you can push it a little bit further. But I mean, right now you're kind of just stalled by the mats that you can get. Gold is pointless. So I don't know how I feel about it right now.
well, you're rich, you don't care, right? But
Yeah, yeah,
when the season started, you must have been poor at some point, though.
right.
How did you first get so much gold in the seasons?
I want to say that when we first started, I mean, I did find the vault probably 5 times or whatever, just doing
That
bounties.
would help,
Yeah,
yes.
and so I mean, I got that. I got that gold right at this very start because we were. I guess I farmed a lot for the Royal Ring. I farmed a lot before they buffed it, and so I had a huge amount of fragments that I was farming, and I ran into goblins because that's the only time you can actually run it. You get the vault is when you're playing outside of rifts. So I experienced it quite a few times, and that's how I got my gold. I ran Boon of the Hoarder a little bit just to play around with it and test it, but then once you once you have enough gold, there's not really any point. I'd rather kill faster. So yeah,
Yeah, so you're too rich to care about it anymore.
too rich to care.
Scrooge McDuck here has his vault on the diving board.
Yeah.
Well, Boon of the Hoarder at 25 would be fantastic as a twink because you'd be super fast constantly. I mean, you just never slow down when you have that on. And I keep joking about Katniss. He's still using it, and he has over 2 billion gold in seasons, and he's using a Boon of the Hoarder running T6 just as a joke. I'm like, why do you have Boon of the Hoarder? What are you doing with this gold? He's like, I like moving fast, so. I mean, it's a really great speed boost, and
Hmm.
even if you don't need the gold, you can do that. But obviously, it doesn't do anything for you in Greater Rifts. So.
Is he running, like, I know for hardcore, is he running gold wrap? Because it might make sense then to you wouldn't have to worry about ever dying in T6. That might be why he's running it still too.
Well, handily, I'm looking at the Greater Rift standings. I actually can click on his character immediately, and he is not. He's got a six-piece icon. He's got icon's chest on.
If he's there's no point, I guess, in running it if he's trying to do greater rifts and stuff, because I mean no gold drops there. But yeah, if he's just farming, you might as well toss on a gold wrap and
He doesn't have it equipped for. I think he's probably doing Greater Rifts now because his character does not have Boon of the Hoarder on any of his
yeah.
jewelry. So obviously, you take it off when you're in Greater Rifts because there's no purpose
Yeah.
there. But otherwise, it's fantastic unless you're so rich you don't care anymore, like certain Canadians we know. Is the gold worth less because you're playing in Canada? Is it only worth like 80%?
It is. Yeah, that's
And it's a little bit smaller in size, but you can still try to use it as a quarter and get away with it
yeah,
sometimes.
and then
Is
the
it really
exchange
not?
rate. Yeah, the exchange rate's
When I
not
was a
very good.
kid, when I was like 8 or 9, my grandparents were still alive, and they used to travel around a lot. They were big into, once they retired, they got a mobile home and an Airstream and drove around and stuff. Not a mobile home. That would be hella white trashy. I mean, a trailer, an RV kind of thing. And they would go to all these Thousand Trails campsites in Canada, and I would go up and visit them. And I visited them a couple times in Alaska, and we drove down through Canada like my whole summer vacation when I was like 11 years old. And that was when there were still arcade games everywhere. And I was so happy in Canada because you'd get 5 quarters for $1 with American money back in those days. And I would bring my big stack of ones in, like Scarface, going to the bank and get 5 tokens for $1. I could play an extra game of Spy Hunter or whatever. It was so exciting. That's all I remember about Canada. But I had, yeah, you get a boot 5 coins $1. It was
Oh
awesome.
yeah,
Okay,
a boot.
we beat that. Okay, we sent that horse to the glue factory. So another interesting some tidbits about legendary gems. As I said, I've done a lot of testing, and I'm sure Monsters has done a lot more than me. You can tell us which ones you like best in a minute here. But the interesting thing with Boon of the Powerful, it does reset on Treasure Goblins. We were debating that last week. So if you kill a Treasure Goblin, they do count as an elite, and that resets the timer on it, as you probably knew, Monsters. Say yes.
Yes.
Thank God I have you on the podcast. Someone who finally says yes when I ask him to. Continue me on next week too. Xanth's more truculent than you. And
No.
interesting thing I noticed today. This is our anti-demon hunter joke time. Everyone likes that part, right? So the M6, the Marauder set 6-piece is the super awesome bonus thing, and the 6-piece bonus of that is Sentries, Caster, Equipped Hatred Spenders. That's an exact quote from the game. And if you have, for instance, Kreider Shot, the legendary bow that makes Elemental Arrow a hatred generator instead of a spender, that still works with the M6 bonus. It will still shoot out elemental arrows, even though it's not technically a hatred spender. However, one of the legendary gems now is Taeguk, Taeguk, which I have no idea how to pronounce and keep mangling it every time. That is the quoting the effect. You gain 5% increased damage for 3 seconds after spending primary resource. If you use a Taeguk with a Kreider Shot, it does not generate Taeguk charges. And if you use it with you can use Chakram, and there's a new quiver that makes Chakram generate hatred instead of costing hatred. That does not generate Taeguk charges. But it does work with the M6 bonus on sets. So obviously Blizzard likes Demon Hunters. Because in theory, you could say neither of these should work, right? It says, take M6 bonus says Sentries, Caster, Equipped Hatred Spenders. Monstrous, tell us why Blizzard likes Demon Hunters and they cheat them on the M6 bonus. You can practice for your community management role someday.
Yeah.
Defend the undefendable,
Uh,
like the Canadians on defense.
I don't know. I do not know why they do that. I mean, it's hit or miss with some procs. I mean, they've been changing it so. I mean, general rule is procs can't procs, and I don't know why they would have kept it that way for Demon Hunters. I mean, obviously it's not a proc, but it's a legendary passive. I don't know why they would have made that rule for Demon Hunters and not for any other procs, I guess.
Because Blizzard loves Demon Hunter.
Yes,
I think we just,
I guess that's what it comes down to.
you have any thought on that, Xanth, or are you busy with the Greater Rift 2 you're charging through right now?
I'm gonna go with an old standby. It's Jay Wilson's fault.
Oh,
I
good.
do know for a
Excellent.
fact that John Yang, he
Is
is
the Demon Hunter developer.
he is actually last time I looked, he was in the top 100 or 200 of Demon Hunters on the rankings. So I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it.
To defend the logic of it a little bit, it's not that your sentries don't build up Taeguk charges, obviously. Only you can do that. And sentries don't cost hatred to shoot what they're shooting, so that shouldn't make any difference. But it is kind of funny that in both cases it says hatred spenders, and one of them does work and one of them doesn't work. But obviously Taeguk is actually literally what the case, so it doesn't build it up if you don't have it.
Right.
Again, Jay Wilson.
It's all Jay Wilson's fault. Oh, my Darwin Awards thing. I put a post on our hardcore forum for Darwin Awards. One of the clan members suggested this after he earned the inaugural one by falling asleep running a Greater Rift with his witch doctor and woke up dead.
Nice.
So falling asleep while playing is generally a pretty bad plan if you're hardcore. That's a pro tip for you there, Monstrous.
Unless you're a Demon Hunter, and then you,
Yeah, well,
yeah, and you.
in which case you'll wake up having finished the riff and got 3 more legendaries auto picked up to you,
Exactly.
and you have an M8 bonus now. You'll have 2 of them on your head at once. So so yeah, we have a forum thread for that. People can post their stupid ones, and I'll probably do a news post and link to that and quote some of the dumb ones. And there'll be one by Zulf. I don't know who this guy is. It's Zulf. It's like its name spelled backwards or something like that. I'm not sure who it is, but I heard from him. He's a friend of mine. He told me this story one time, and his Demon Hunter was playing recently, and this guy's Demon Hunter, Zulf, by the way, not me, of course, and he was running the efficacious toxin gem, amongst other things, legendary gem in his gear. And you know which is the easiest Greater Rift Guardian or regular, the easiest Rift Guardian of all? That the one you kill in 3 seconds every time. This is where one of you guys says a name.
I guess it varies from class to class.
It's a golem, the big sand golem.
Oh yeah, he's got way less health than everybody else. Yeah.
And he dies in like 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And if he lives long enough, he starts making duplicates of himself.
Right.
Yeah.
But no one ever's ever seen that because he dies so fast. You ever seen that one, Xanth?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen him live more than 10 seconds?
I've seen him duplicate himself once.
Did you know he had a really, really big reflex damage property?
That I did not know.
Neither did I. Guess why? I mean, my friend Zulf. Guess why he knows that now?
He found out the hard way.
Because Stonesinger has a huge reflex damage property, and if you don't kill him quickly, and you hit him with a gem of efficacious toxin that gives you 10 seconds of damage, you can drain about 5 times your total health bulb in one single burst without it ever changing and resetting. And you can run like 10 screens away and hit a red potion and watch it fill up and then keep draining and leave the level, go to the next level of the dungeon and watch your near-death experience awareness proc save you and watch your health keep going down even after that because the 10 seconds are never ending, unlike my first marriage. And it just, so yes, so if in some weird way you somehow don't kill Stonesinger quickly, the Sand Golem, Greater Rift Guardian, or regular Rift Guardian, and you hit him with a bunch of damage and you have efficacious toxin, keep fighting the son of a bitch. Don't run away and think, okay, I'll be safe if I get to a distance. Because my friend did that and he died after like 9 seconds of standing on another level of the dungeon watching his health waste away.
Wow.
And he got a Darwin Award for that.
Good to know.
That's bad.
Okay, any of you guys have any horrible, stupid death appearances you can top that one with, or at least take away some of the shame?
No, I've yet to die at all this season. And
Well, you're not playing a witch doctor, so that's probably why.
that is true. Both my seasonal or non-seasonal Crusader and seasonal Crusader are still alive, and I've yet to lose one. Someday, I guess.
We'll try to make it a good story when it happens, okay? Any amusing death stories for you, Monsters?
Well, I mean, I'm strictly playing normal, non-hardcore right now, but the only hardcore deaths that really I've had is when I ran out of character slots for seasons here. I had to delete all of my characters, so those are my only hardcore deaths right there.
Did you pour out a 40 when you did it? What?
Yeah. This is for them. This is for my homies.
Put a little splash of Molson's down?
Yeah. Yeah, because I literally had, I think I had just about one of every class hardcore, and when seasons came out, I didn't have any other character slots to make some new seasonal characters, so I just went through and I deleted all my 60 hardcores that I never did play anyways. I mean, I played them a little bit, but all of my clan and my group of friends that I play with all play normal, so it wasn't really a big loss.
You didn't want to get them to 70 just for the achievement?
I got one to
You're an
67, I
achievement
think.
hunter?
Yeah, well, conquest. I like the conquest point, which definitely needs to be changed next season, but yeah, I enjoy those. The other ones, they'll come eventually.
When the seasons was new, sorry, when before seasons, when Reaper of Souls was new, we were doing these. We have three hardcore clan. We have three hardcore clans for gamers on US because we need to. We're considering merging them now because we have so many inactive people that it's annoying when the same 20 people are online in three different clans every night. And it's like we could have 60 in one clan. Would that be better? So anyway, we're debating that. But immediately they all filled up to 150 people immediately, or whatever. Is it 150? I can't remember anymore. It is
It's
150, right?
150.
I think it was 120 for some reason. I don't know why. I blame Jay Wilson. But anyway, we had that, and we had all these people who joined in like the first few days when we weren't really making any requirements to join, just whoever wanted it. And pretty soon we're all 130 people, and it's like, well, shit, now we got to start being a little more selective, right? Because you want active players, not people who are just going to sit there on the names.
Right.
And I remember like a month after Reaper of Souls, I went through the roster and looked, and there were like 50, I don't know, count 50, probably 30 people in the clan, and the same thing on the European one as well, which also filled up immediately, that had all five classes, well, all six classes, I guess, at level 70, and not a single Paragon point in hardcore.
Hmm.
And I was like, "Who are you people? How does this happen?" And obviously, they just did it to get the achievement.
Right.
They leveled every character to 70. And how do you? I was like by accident you would get a Paragon point. I mean, that first Paragon point is like 10 monsters once you get to 70. You know, like you can't not get it. If you finish out the pack that you're in when you get to 70, you get one. And apparently, that wasn't the case with these. So, and I ended up kicking all those people because they were just taking up. You know, they were just dead wood. But there are people who get to 70 and never play again, like one of our guests tonight. Except it was 60.
It was 60, yeah. I got there with the full intention of playing and then did not. So, but I'll explore it later. Maybe next season I'll play nothing but hardcore. I don't know yet. But
We have a
can it,
we have a regular guest, Wolfpack, who did that. He only played softcore previously, and in seasons he started playing hardcore, and he's still charging along. Hasn't died yet either, which kind of pisses me off, to be honest.
but he doesn't have Canadian internet, right?
He's
It's
got he's a little close to LA, so I think he gets the general Blizzard area Magic Find bonus.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
So Monstrous. So give us your legendary gem, your favorites. You've got really high level characters. What is your class, and what do you like to use, and which one is your build? How does it work for you?
For Crusader, I guess Bane of the Trap is awesome. It's just basically a 27 point, well, whatever your gem is leveled at. It's just increased damage. It gives that aura that reduces the movement speed of enemies within 15 yards by 30% once you hit 25, and then you increase damage for any enemy that is affected by it. So yeah, it's just a straight damage boost there. The other one that I like to use is the Swiftness gem, which at rank 25 it gives you that.
The Gogok.
Yeah, it gives you the reduced cooldown, which I really need for my Crusader to keep up 100% accurate champion. So yeah, so I'm using that one right now. Eventually, I hope that I can just get enough reduced cooldown on gear that I can replace that with something else. Maybe the Poison gem that adds more damage as well.
You need to be careful when you get that one Rift Guardian. Did I
Yeah,
mention
yeah.
that earlier? Oh, yeah, probably not. No.
Now I know. Now I know. So, but whatever.
Knowing's half the battle.
It's normal. The other one, I mean, I do like the elite one, where it increases damage against elites and you
You mean
gain.
Bane of the Powerful?
Yeah, Bane of Powerful, where you actually get 20% increased damage for however many seconds, based on what you leveled it at. That's a really good one, and good for new people as well, because I mean, damage is damage, and that'll help tremendously. So, yeah, those are
Yeah,
my.
once you're fast enough to chain elite packs in under a minute or so,
Yeah.
that's just you never lose the buff.
Right. I guess when you start pushing higher greater rifts, it gets less and less useful because there might be that little bit of time in between, and it might fall off, especially on Rift Guardians where it doesn't. A Rift Guardian might take 3 or 4 minutes to kill, so that'll fall off in the first minute, and you're left with nothing. So I don't know. There's a lot of different variations, especially for different classes and builds. It's awesome actually, and they did talk about adding new ones for next season or whatever. So that's gonna be really cool to see what they add.
That's been the big complaint. I mean, that was sort of the closing point on the podcast last week about legendary gems was that there's like four of them that are totally perfect for range classes. I mean, obviously there's a couple that are just explicitly only for range classes, like Z's, whatever.
Mm.
But there's none that are like, this is the most awesome thing, you absolutely have to have this for melee class. I mean, maybe kind of the bane of the trapped, because you get that slowdown aura. But that's really, you don't even seem like you're using it for that much for your Crusader. Do you, I mean, would you envision, what would your, if you can wave your magic wand and make a new legendary gem, what do you need it to do to make melee more viable?
Hmm.
More toughness somehow, or resistance, or what?
Yeah, I guess because that would help a lot. Then you can gear with the rest of your gear. You can go a little bit more offensive instead of sort of straight, like trying to balance out the two. Um,
How about a gem that gives you full immunity to all elemental damage? Would that be
that would
cool?
be awesome.
Maybe a little OP though.
Uh, it would be about the same as the Demon Hunter
Yeah,
set.
pretty.
So yeah,
Yeah, pretty fair.
yeah.
Yeah, it's same as the M8 bonus, right?
hmm Um, I don't know. I don't know what I'd probably just a straight damage reduction, or like something like what's the trying to think of the passive for the brawler, isn't it? Where as long as there are three enemies within 12 yards, all your damage is increased. Why not make
Yeah.
something like that, where the more enemies that are closer to you, the more damage you do? Um, Something like that.
Or
I kind of thought of that, but I mean, the Barb and the Monk have a passive that does that already, and
Yeah.
the Crusader might as well, for all I know. I'm not a real expert on Crusaders.
not that I know of, but I mean, why not? You could even have a gem that is the inverse, where the more enemies that are around you, the less damage you take.
Yeah, so it's a defensive, but then you get to the Rift Guardian and you get slaughtered. So,
Right. But I mean, that's at least one on one.
so do you have a legendary gem wish list, Anthony, to wrap up here pretty soon? But
No, not really.
what are your favorites, and what do you like about them?
Right now,
What do you,
the gold one is just a personal favorite because it's new, it's shiny, and it's helping me slowly build up a stockpile of gold I can actually use. I'm a big fan of Wreath of Lightning too, just because I just love running around, having the lightning bolts hit everything. Aside from that, the is it Bane of the Powerful with the increased damage for elites killed. I just like having that on, so like Greater Rifts, I'll toss that one in tandem with the Wreath of Lightning to kind of uh, wail on some elites and then let the lightning pick apart the little stuff that's around me.
have you guys used Mirane much? That's like Cadis's favorite one, and I was amazed how good that was. It's much better than the description of it is.
I'm trying to think of what that one is right now.
That's it's smite 50% chance to smite a nearby
Oh,
enemy for
yeah.
damage that scales up. Katniss is I'm looking at his character. He's got that at rank 38 and it's 3,520% weapon damage is holy
Yeah,
anytime
it
it's
goes
smite.
off like crazy when you're running a condemned build, so that's why he's using it. And
Yeah, he's got the super condemned thing.
yeah, so it procs all the time, and it is really really good, especially for a condemned build, which when there is like a Rift Guardian or single target, he doesn't have a lot of damage because he needs big groups to really put out that massive amount of damage. So that kind of takes a little bit of the stress away from like when you come down to just one-on-one with the Rift Guardian. It helps dish out that extra damage. So
From the description, I didn't think it sounded that good. I mean, it's 15% chance to smite, but what that means is I've used it a little bit on a monk and on a demon hunter. Is every single thing you hit, every single piece of damage you deal has a 50% chance of dealing this gigantic bonus damage on top of it.
hmm
So if you're hitting, 25 things at once, which is not at all an uncommon state of affairs in Diablo 3, right?
Right.
You've got like six of those going off like every half second. I mean, it's just crazy. The screen is just these bursts of holy light everywhere. And basically everything that one of them goes off, it gets, a discrete chunk of like 3,000% weapon damage, which is gigantic. I mean, that's way more than efficacious toxin is like 2,000 weapon damage over 10 seconds at the base. And that's everything you hit, but that's 2,000 in 10 seconds. This is 3,000 in zero point 0.1 seconds. So it seems like if you have a big AoE something, Mirane is just spectacular. I'm looking forward to using that with my Demon Hunter when she gets to higher levels.
yeah,
Of course, you also have the one that procs on critical hit chance, which is really awesome for Demon Hunters as well.
the
There's a lot of them.
is that the
There's a pretty long list of awesome gems for Demon Hunters if
yeah
you get right down to it.
yeah I use the bleed one actually for my Crusader. yeah, off of critical hits, it causes the target to bleed for a percent of damage over 3 seconds. And
Even with a Crusader, what's your crit chance on your Crusader?
I hover around
High
50.
enough to work?
Yeah, I hover around 50%. I'm running the Stampede build, the physical Stampede build with like
With
Furnace
the
and
with the super
the
horses?
super horses, so it works out really, really nice for me. Yeah, and it
Yeah,
benefits
so
all my
that's
physical
pain,
gear.
that's Pain Enhancer.
Yes.
So the base effect, critical hit chance, cause the enemy to bleed for 1,200 weapon damage over 3 seconds, which is nice. That's 400 per second, obviously.
Yep.
And upgrades it boosts at 30%. So you get that to level 30, and it's way more damage per click.
Hmm.
But of course, it's only on critical hits. So you got to have a really high critical hit chance,
Yeah.
and you've achieved that. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you enjoy? Do you get much out of the secondary effect,
Uh,
which gives you a blood frenzy, granting 3% attack speed for every bleeding enemy within 20 yards?
Not a crazy amount because the Stampede build is more ranged, so it doesn't really matter too much. But the damage is nice, and it gets a boost from all my physical gear that I'm currently running right now with the build. So yeah.
Do you know if that procs with Boon of the Traps or sorry, Bane of the Traps aura?
Uh,
That only slows the movement speed. It doesn't actually do damage. I mean, does it proc with like Sweeping Wind and stuff, or is it only like direct attacks?
are you talking about the bleed effect?
Yeah.
The bleed
So
effect.
anything that does a crit can cause that to effect, right?
Yes. Yeah. Anything. Yeah.
So that could be pretty useful. A lot of crits and with a wide range of stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job on legendary gems, I think, and there's enough variety. It's not like there's just an obvious one that you always have to have, you know?
Right. And I don't know. There's a couple gems that are like, the ones that like boost like the primary damage or your primary attack damage and stuff that haven't really been like.
Simplicity, strength.
Yes, they're not.
I'm gonna start using that with my Demon Hunter, by the way, so don't say anything mean about it.
No, I mean, but there's not a lot of builds. Like everybody right now tries to get their secondary or their harder hitting attacks. They try to focus on those, and so there's not really a point of having a lot of generators. People don't use them right now, so
Yeah, not at the high end anyway, not at T6.
yeah. So hopefully they change something, or there's some builds that are built around like something with depth diggers or something like that.
That's
That
exactly what I'm gonna be using it with, by
yeah.
the way.
So hopefully there's more some more builds that pop up with those things, but we'll see. They're still early.
So my Demon Hunter just hit 70, and I haven't geared up anything yet, but I have Depth Diggers, which is I think mine 105% bonus increase the damage to primaries, and I have the Quiver that makes bola shots explode instantly, and I'm wondering if I can gear to put, and I have a couple of fire damage things that go bola shot. The big radius one of bola shot is fire damage, I believe. If not, I'm screwed, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Anyway, so you get that, and you get 30% from a couple of items. I think it's belt and chest that give you bola damage, and you get 100% from your depth diggers, and you get simplicity strength, which is 25% base and 5% per level. And I'm wondering if I can, that can give me up to like 300% damage to bola shots, which is obviously is a hatred generator as well. So I'm just wondering if I can use that for my crowd control and just fire those out constantly, and every one of those will give me 300% damage and some procs from your other things. And I'm sure all that together with perfect gear, it'll be like 1/10 as good as an M6 with just random skills. But I'm looking for this for like T1 to T4 or something like that until I get a better gear. So
Yeah,
just to try, as you say, no one uses these stupid ones for base skills or primary skills. So
yeah,
I'm sure it'll
I'd
suck horribly.
be very interested to see how it turns out because yeah,
Anyway, tune in for next week's podcast when I tell you how this character died horribly. My next Darwin Award.
Just stay away from that Rift Guardian with that gem.
Or no, actually, I should have stayed next to him. I mean, my friend should have stayed next to him. He'd been fine then, because he had like 8,000 life on hit, or probably more than that actually, and very little regen. So I think the whole point is, with the Demon Hunter or in hardcore, when you start taking a lot of damage, you're kind of primed to get out of the damage for a minute,
Right.
which was not the right approach. We have a 10-second DOT countdown that's giving you gigantic reflex damage. I'll be sure to tell my friend about that.
Or Zol.
Vorzel, yeah, he had a bad week. So, any final thoughts, guys? You wish you'd been playing for the last hour, and one of us has been playing for the last hour.
Nothing wrong
Yeah.
with
Are you
that.
dying to get back in there, monsters? The second you hang up, are you gonna leap onto your Crusader and go for GR38?
maybe I need to farm some the Greater Rift tiers. Uh, the key
Oh
is
yeah, yeah.
actually
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, you'll leap on a GR30 and then slowly and painstakingly crawl your way up to GR38.
Exactly.
While some goddamn demon hunter with Mim 6 jump starts out at 47.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah.
And you blame John Yang for all this.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Definitely. I'll give Jay Wilson a break. He actually, since he left, the Barbarian's gone downhill also, and we all know that was his class. So
Yeah.
so it's still his fault, I guess. He left, and it's
Yeah, that's
it's
the
his
funny
fault.
part.
Yeah.
It was Jay Wilson's fault when the barb was overpowered. Now it's Jay Wilson's fault when the barb's underpowered.
Yeah.
I think we've covered all our bases. Do you have any final thoughts, Dan?
No, I mean,
Did you find any more legendaries yet, or
um,
are we slowing you down here?
no, nothing, nothing major yet. No, it's I've been on a little bit of a hiatus from the site, and I haven't stopped playing by any means. But it's nice to be back and to doing this, and hopefully I'll be getting a column out and not just a draft this week.
Yeah, we have the WordPress thing, and I was joking to you because but every week, 2 weeks there'll be some column in there in draft form from Xanth, and it's like, and it just stays in draft for 2 weeks and slowly drops down the page as more posts go up.
Yeah, it's
But it'd be awesome to see a non-draft column from you at some point. I'm sure readers would appreciate those. They're not just for me.
they're not just for you, Flux. I recently started a new job, and it has kind of taken a toll on my writing abilities because I'm reading a whole bunch of bad essays. And it's just like drains you of that creative process. But I'm finally hitting my groove, and I think I can be back and writing. Like I said, hopefully this week.
Well, obviously you need to have some sort of electronic studies program, and you can have all the kids play Diablo 3 and write articles about it, and you'll just have like 5 columns a week then. Look at all these ideas I
I
have.
would get so much more done. It would be great. Until, I make the news for allowing kids to play a satanic game or something like that.
Awesome. I don't think anyone minds that anymore.
No,
Okay, any final thought from you, monsters? Thanks for stopping by, guys. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and it's awesome. Just to chat about the game and where it's at, and yeah.
Could you say a boot one time just for us? Chat a boot the game?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Neither do I. Okay, guys, thanks for your time. You've listened to the Diablo 3 podcast. We are online at diablolinkgamers.com, and we will all be out dying horribly in rifts tonight. Moo.
moo, 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 moo.
Moo.
I still have yet to get the cow rift.